Well, keep calm and carry on. That is very much the motto here this morning in Brussels. We saw last night Donald Tusk offer this flex extension till the end of October, but clearly alluding to the fact that now the ball is in the court of the United Kingdom. He also said, use this time wisely, or do not waste this time. He said the UK can use this time to revoke Article 50 or to ratify that withdrawal agreement. The withdrawal agreement, he said, that will not be reopened. The political declaration, however, he said, could be manoeuvred or could be tweaked. But the feeling last night as well at that press conference that took place at about 2 in the morning was that Brexit has dominated so much of the European Union's time. And Jean-Claude Juncker, who was standing alongside Donald Tusk yesterday, he said that. He said, you, the press, all you report about is Brexit. He said, Brexit, Brexit, Brexit are all the headlines on the UK media. And there was a feeling then among heads of state, and that's why the discussions went on so late last night, that Brexit has dominated so much time of the EU and that it shouldn't have so much more. And that's why we saw the French President, Emmanuel Macron, really try and push for a shorter extension. He had some support from a couple of other member states like Belgium here and like Austria. Let's take a listen now to what Sebastian Kurz, the Austrian Chancellor, had to say last night.
It's true, our Austrian position was closer to the French position on this question. But it wasn't about being tough or strict. It was simply a question of how long the deadline should be extended. We were of the opinion that an extension on the short side makes sense, so we don't drag the whole Brexit debate into infinity.
But as both Donald Tusk and Jean-Claude Juncker also said last night, EU politics is all about compromise. And even though we saw rather divided EU heads of state last night, they did come up with a compromise, and that is to extend the Brexit deadline to the 31st of October, to Halloween, just a couple of days before Jean-Claude Juncker, the Commission President, and Donald Tusk stepped down from their roles as head of both of those institutions.
And was that compromise that they reached, was that a victory for Brussels in the negotiations with the UK?
Well, I mean, Brussels is really trying to find a way to avoid a no-deal scenario now that this Friday is very much off the cards. The EU want the UK to leave in an orderly fashion. They do not want to see a chaotic, disorderly, hard Brexit. They know that would cause catastrophic damage to both people and businesses all around the continent. So what we saw last night is a compromise found, the EU content in the fact that now the UK has a little bit more time to decide on the best way forward. But it does, of course, scupper the plans of the EU over the next few months. And as you probably know yourself, the EU institution, they love timelines, and they already had a special date in their calendar. That's Europe Day, coming up at the start of May, to host their own summit in Romania without the United Kingdom. So now, of course, there's a possibility that Theresa May could be at that summit. And then, of course, the EU elections are coming up at the end of May. And now the UK will be obliged legally, as Jean-Claude Juncker said last night, to participate in those elections. That has angered and frustrated many members of the European Parliament, because they feel that many disruptors, if you like, or anti-European Union MEPs could be sent to Brussels, and it could really overshadow a lot of the other work that the EU is trying to focus on. But all that we'll have to look at in the next couple of months. But for the moment, a sigh of relief here in Brussels that no-deal scenario is very much off the table for now.
All right.